Hello everybody, welcome to Indigo Tarot Odyssey. How is everybody? Welcome to What You Are Meant to Hear. Today I'm going to zoom in on this beautiful artwork. So we're going to start with the key to wisdom, and I love this so much because this helped me this morning when I woke up. You ever just wake up and you're like a little foggy and groggy and you're like, how do I want to commence this day that is going to enhance my life in some way? And whenever I first wake up, I really get in that attitude of gratitude that, listen, you have computers and phones, you can learn about anything. And this wonderful thing came up because I really am trying to change certain patterns throughout my day. I do get obsessed about certain shows, so I will marathon watch them and then I'll have to play, catch up with housework or whatever. So I'm trying to rectify that. And this great thing came up on my feed. And it was called the SMART method, and it's a way to set goals, and I thought it was amazing. So SMART was representative of S, which was specific, set specific goals. So my specific goals were, I would like to have, say, do a load of laundry a day and make sure the dishes are washed before like 5 p.m. Things to that nature, just so I have a kind of like schedule and routine. So I know that I said to myself I was going to do this, so if I observe it not done, I'm going to change it. Another thing too, just in terms of health and exercise, I tend to do better earlier in the day doing that. So being very specific, having some form of exercise, say before noon, that is a specific not vague thing. However, it's like not only a time, but what you're going to do. Say Monday, walk a mile, whatever it is. And then the next in SMART was measurable detail things. So I love this. So I'm going to measure that I walked 1.2 miles, whatever it is, at this point in time. So how many days a week? So we can measure this, whatever that goal is. And then the other thing was attainable, achievable, even where you are now, because that's the thing. If we set goals that are completely unattainable, and that kind of is a key to wisdom. I'm wise enough to know that if it's not attainable, I'm not going to go for it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to paint the entire interior of this house by the end of the week, but it is something that I'd like to do by the end of summer, something to that effect. And then the R in SMART was realistic, not impossible, which is kind of like is attainable. So it is realistic. So when that comes to weight loss, when that comes to if you're a writer writing so many pages, if you are an athlete doing so much in regards to that, things that you can measure on a realistic scale so you're not going to drive yourself bonkers. And then timely with a definite deadline, because what happens if, again, that goes into the vagueness, if we just sort of let it go out there and we're like, oh yeah, whenever, guess when that's going to be done. If we're procrastinators, probably not for a long time. If we are someone that pressurizes ourselves and we don't do something immediately, we just forget about it. My thing is I get a million ideas all at once and I want to do all of them, and then if I don't write them out or instigate some sort of method to achieve them, then I forget about them. But I do know that I like things organized and neat, so the next time I want to use my materials, they're there. So a key to wisdom to me is, how can I look for things out there in the world that are going to offer me sound advice, and I can go out and try to attain these things. So I loved that. The be neutral, I just love the simplicity of this, and I find it so gorgeous. But in the book, it talks about how we can find ourselves drawn into conflict or drama that doesn't involve us. A friend or a group we're associated with might expect or demand we choose a side, right? It could be family members. I know it's really hard if we have children and a spouse and they're not getting along and they both want you on the same side, that kind of thing. It can be difficult, but there are times when the only course of action is to just totally remain neutral, because oftentimes our involvement gets, again, we don't no longer have a healthy detachment from it, and now we're all in the kind of stickiness that can happen. So I feel like if we stay aligned and independent when we should be, we are not now in some kind of crazy gossip loop too. You ever get involved in that with friends? Like, oh, so-and-so said this and then they said that. You see it in every reality show. So many people just are not neutral and they all just jump on some kind of cause or jump on board with some friend, and then everybody is arguing. And it can be difficult to stop ourselves from being drawn in, especially if the other people want to question our loyalty. But acting from a place of neutrality is to take the higher ground, and it serves us best to remain grounded and objective, to avoid pack mentality behavior too, right? Think for yourself, act for yourself. You need to choose your own path, especially if you have no personal reason to engage in somebody else's conflict. And unless we're attacked directly or standing against like a true injustice, we should strive to avoid drama, especially if we have a professional reputation to maintain as well. So this is something that I am very careful of, because I am kind of on a public format with YouTube and IG. I don't jump on board with like political corners or agendas, because I just feel like it just leaves too much room for strife and argument. And, when we just stay in our lane too, we can live with so much more peace, right? It can be such a peaceful journey. And, we live in a society that worships positivity, right? So many people are obsessed with it, and they have, not but contempt for those that don't see the glass as being half full. But what if you were to see the glass as neither half full or empty too? Instead of either or, why not say that the glass has water in it and appreciate the water is there? Right, because I'm not really into that crazy toxic positivity. If somebody truly has a problem, not everything will be all right. It's like sometimes we just need to show up and listen. We don't need to solve everybody's problems. People just want to hear us, and we're neutral, and we are a caring and concerned individual that's there to listen. But also being neutral is to be fluid and allow yourself to flow from one state to another without judgment. And we value peacefulness and contentment more than unrealistic and divisive, dichotomy of positive and negative, because it just becomes too much. And if we want to see things with clarity and objectivity, we just let other people know that, like, listen, I can't have undue drama, and I feel for you in the situation you're in, but I don't feel like we need another chef in the kitchen stirring that pot, that kind of thing. And I love neutrality. I'm like, yes, I'm living for it, because it really can. Just think back in high school, if you had friends that were fighting, or remember how draining that was. He said, she said, better round and round and round. It's so draining. Like, no, thank you. Same thing where I don't get where people have Twitter wars. How much time you have to invest in that? I mean, let's be real. I like this. This person looks beautifully just peaceful. They have their third eye open. They are chilling out, having a wonderful time. And that sort of is the key to wisdom too. Stay neutral whenever you can, because that also frees up your mind to help your life and help your endeavors. And that brings us onto the seeker's journey, which I love, because this is about self-exploration and self-discovery and self-realization. And while on their journey, a seeker will face all kinds of tests, faith and patience, resilience, and they will face their fears and suffer hardship. I am really on a seeker's journey where I play with ideas that I allow into my head, and then I happily release them when I realize, okay, I don't need to focus on this, but our ego will introduce things. I do have a weird, like anybody that's been married for a very long time, every once in a while I have this fear that what if something happened to my spouse? Because I'm literally almost like a toddler when it comes to he cooks, he cleans, he does everything like to such a nice degree. Every once in a while I'll try to pitch him, but I mean, he knows everything about all the technology, everything. And it's like one of those things where I thought, oh my gosh, I not only would be at a loss for somebody that I love so much, but I would have to learn so many new skill sets. And like, I almost had a panic attack this morning thinking about that. And then I just thought, we do have to introduce unpleasant thoughts at times, and realize how would we behave if something were to occur, but also not to take that on and get in a panic state. I believe seekers understand that everything does happen for a reason, even when the reason isn't apparent or one that's easy to accept too. They believe, because they understand that every effect has a cause, every path will offer a reward and consequence. Both choice and circumstance will determine outcomes. They wish to learn so they can navigate life with more confidence, and they seek to understand so they can make better choices. That is the seeker's journey. And I have learned through all these beautiful decks that come with all my oracle cards and all the books that I have and stuff on self-growth and understanding are wonderful, because they do give us the desire to know and understand the mysterious workings of the world and the universe, the spiritual, the physical. And we get curious. We question life and the way it moves and shapes us. It's like a gigantic fun puzzle that we want to solve. And and also it helps us know that the destinations, whatever it is, we will arrive there when it's meant to be and not before. And it's the journey itself. It really does, all the things winding, all the things that we see, all the people we meet. And one of my greatest hopes for myself, my family, you guys, everybody out in the world, is that we can remove fear from the seeker's journey, because the comfort zone, we should be fearful of some comfort zone where we don't want to expand and we don't want to learn about the world, ourselves, and other people, right? You can see this sometimes, like biographies of people. They like, for example, I got really into this crazy like murder mystery thing in the Midwest, and these people would just talk about, they would go to work at their Home Depot, they would get dinner at the same place, they'd go home, they lived in this routine that I swear to God was like a fish going around and around and around and around in the fishbowl. Never left their town, never left their state, and to me that would be some kind of hellish night, some hellscape that I would be like, I'm out of here. None of my days are the same. I don't have some routine I do over and over and over because I don't like repetitiveness. I like to see how I would feel if I went there, behaved this way, did things at this time, and vary it up, because I do want to see kind of like new through a new lens all the time. And that's kind of the seeker's journey, like what's going to happen through this lens, what's going to happen over here. So if you can do one little thing, it's so funny, this fly just came in the room and it's driving me crazy. If you could do something today that's just going to open a new like little thing on your telescope, and you can see another kind of setting somewhere, what would you do? Even if it's just watching a program and learning about, underwater life, whatever it is, the seeker's journey. Why do things interest you? I had this great thing the other day that popped up on my feed too, and it asked these couple of questions, and I thought, this is great. And one of them was, what am I most worried about right now? So if I were honest with myself, mine is something that worries me is my physicality. I wish to be stronger, because I know like after you reach your 50s, there's bone density issues, there can be other things, flexibility. And I really was concerned this morning when I woke up stiff. And then I said, how long have I been worried about this? It's only been like a month or so that I've been thinking about this. And then how are these worries affecting my daily life? For me, I feel like I'm trying to take beneficial steps in the other directions. I have like this joint health serum that I drink that has all these vitamins. I'm stretching, I'm doing other things. So this kind of things. And then what do we say if our worries prove true? Like, what is your biggest worry? And what happens if your worries prove true? How will it change your life? And where do these worries come from? Am I basing them off past experience or future expectations? What do they say about me? What need or want am I afraid that won't be met? And what are other ways I can meet these needs? For some people, it's loneliness. They fear, I might spend a life alone. But I feel like that's part of the seeker's journey too. Like, what actions can I take to begin releasing my concerns? I always feel like, action is so almost mandatory in these, because we can sit and our brain will race us in circles and it will deplete us of energy and it will scare us. And I feel like move a muscle and change a thought. As soon as you start to feel like that, like, whoa, my body feels stiff and I feel like, I'm not going to be flexible, I start to stretch. I'm like, action right now. That's what you can do. So whatever it is, these actions that you can take. For some people I know, like, their biggest fear, because their brain, like they want to retain information and they don't want their brain to atrophy. It's like, do puzzles and read and be curious. That is something that, in our seeker's journey, we do ask ourselves, what am I worried about and how can I counteract that worry with doing something, and then release these worries and then reward yourself for doing that as well, because you deserve it. So that, my beauties, is what you're meant to hear today. I hope you guys have a great day. Love and light.